Welcome to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where we discover the communities that are making a difference in the lives of others. Our self-discovery is something we are all making on our life's journey. Here you will find the people that will be your guidance, that will be your inspiration, that will be there for you in support on your journey of life. Do enjoy. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest is Caren Cooper. Oh, have we got a lot to talk about today. You know, she felt stuck for years. She was miserable. She was hating the way she looked in pictures and playing the victim card, and she played it very well. And, you know, one day she began her health journey, and this was September 2015, and she was amazed to find a system that worked. She dropped 20 pounds and went from being a mum, very jaded and negative, to energetic, motivated, and positive mum who now helps others feel their best and look their best. Her mindset shifted as well. She embraced personal development and went from playing the victim to knowing she is in control of her own happiness. Caren is now a wellness warrior, giving people helping others to create healthy bodies and bank accounts. A nice balance. She also helps people understand that being healthy is just not what you put in your mouth. It's also what you put in your mind, your heart, soul, and spirit. I'm adding to that. The people you surround yourself with. Being healthy does not mean depriving yourself. It's about balance. You can have all your cake and eat it too. Her motto is, being healthy is a lifestyle, not a life sentence. I like that. So many people then become the slaves to the diet, the regime, the this and that, and so resentful because of it. And what happens? They stop doing it, right? So I like that it is a lifestyle, not a life sentence. And first, the mind has to give permission for the rest of you to get into action, doesn't it? Welcome, Caren.
Thank you so much for having me today, Sarah. I am very, very grateful to be here.
That choice, it's very easy as a mother, you have 2 or 3 kids or whatever, and you gain the weight and you're so caught up with your kids and your family, and, you might be a bit prone to a few extra pounds anyway. And then suddenly you feel sexless and a blob, and like, where did your vavoom go? And, you're just too tired. And it's like, you look at yourself in a picture and you go, who the hell is that?
Pretty much. And you're putting yourself last. I mean, that was the other part of it, is that you're taking care of everybody else's needs,
Mhm.
wants, whatever else it may be, and you're not taking care of yourself, not even just health wise, but just mind, like anything. You're just
Yeah.
literally doing for everybody else. And that's what I was doing 1,000%. And I was just like, you're right. One day I just looked at myself. I'm like, who is this? Like,
Yes.
that's not me. Is that me? That's me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I was. And I was like, yeah, maybe it's time I do something about it. And
Mm.
that's really what it was. I had actually said no for a long time. Like, I was like not interested in it.
Hmm.
Um, and I was just like, I had made the decision. I had to get to sort of, I guess, a really breaking point, if you will, because
Hmm.
then I was like, okay, no, I need to do something. It has to happen.
And for you, this is the thing. So many people reach that stage where, they've had the kids, they're this, they're that, they kind of let themselves go. And it's, everybody says, well, your husband won't love you if you're this, if you're that. Well, if there's love there and you've worked on the love, the size doesn't matter. They love
Right.
you for who you are. So, choosing to lose weight or do something for ourselves is
Right.
a choice for us,
Yes.
right?
Oh, 1,000%. It's really, and honestly, I mean, for me, it was, I wanted to lose weight. I mean,
Mm.
but it really is about feeling good. I
Yes.
mean, healthy is just about feeling good. It's not necessarily about weight loss. So I want to point that part out
Yeah.
first. But the second part is, you're absolutely right. It's really self care. What I was learning, and when I started to learn, was self care isn't selfish. It really
Right.
is okay, because you know what? Maybe my husband will still love me with 20 pounds more. That's fine. But I didn't, number one, I didn't feel good. But
Mm.
number two, because I was so miserable, I was cranky. So that was absolutely translating to everybody else. So, like,
Yeah.
my kids at the time, they're 19 and 15 now, but at the time they were like 10 and 5, around there, or a little bit older. But still, I was like nippy, and I was like, you know what I mean? Like, they would say hi, and I'd be like, what? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And like
Yes, I do. Been there.
you know, I mean, sometimes there's reason for it, but there wasn't at the time. And you know what I mean? And that's what happened was when I decided, you know what, it's time for me to get healthy. I was feeling good. And because I was feeling good, it absolutely, and because I was taking care of myself, it's 1,000% translated differently
Into
to
every aspect of your life, right?
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's starting with the personal development, but it was just a matter of the health portion of
Mm.
it. The personal development and the mindset was along with it, but that first portion was 1,000%, just
Yeah.
to start take care
You
of
know,
it.
we were inclined, and part of it is society's expectation. You know, historically, women, when they become mothers and wives, it's sacrificial. We're there to be everything to them at the expense of ourselves. And I did it to a point of complete depletion, which then invited not a very good disease. And it was like, well, now I'm struggling with that as well. Had I, before I got to that point, said, look, it's not being selfish to take time for yourself. It's not being selfish to say no to
Right,
someone.
right.
And I think that's the hardest thing as a woman and as a mother, is that no. Oh no, of course I'll bake this. Of course I'll do, of course I'll volunteer for that. And it's like, oh,
Right. Oh, that, and it's like we don't realize no is a complete sentence, and like
yeah,
no is not the worst thing in the world. You
right.
know what I mean? And
You're
it's
not
like
a bitch for saying no.
no, and it's like it's so funny because I feel like too, it's like keeping up with the joke. Well, this one's doing,
Yes.
you know, and I grew up in an era with that. With it was just like, well, that sucks for you,
Yeah.
you know what I
Suck
mean?
it up.
Like, suck it up and deal.
Yes.
And now it's it's but this is whoever's doing what, and I had to learn to say no, and I had to learn to, but you know what? It turned into conversations with my
Yeah.
kids about, see, so the funny part is when you say no, first of all, I feel like when you say no, they actually learn, no. But other than
Mhm.
that, it's like the resiliency, whatever you want to put it. But like when I was like putting myself first, or if I was saying no, I'm not going to do something, or I couldn't be there for whatever, you know, I had the conversation as to why.
Yes.
So it lent then to a discussion
Yes.
about something,
Yeah.
and then it was a common understanding, or
Mm.
whatever
You're not just
whatever.
being nasty. There's a reason behind it.
Right. Or
Right.
like if I couldn't be there for something for whatever reason
Yeah.
for my kids, it was like, okay, here's why, here's what I'm doing, and eventually this will happen, kind of a thing. And so
Mm.
there was an understanding. It wasn't just, well, mommy has to do this and that's just the end of the story.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So from this lent a lot of different ways of communication.
Right. And, we're allowed to have boundaries. We don't want borders, but we're
Right,
allowed to have boundaries. Those boundaries are that energetic boundary of, I don't have any energy to do this or do that. This is my level.
right,
Meet me at that level. And we
right.
can
Exactly.
energize ourselves up and above, but don't bring me down. And again, when you are constantly saying yes and you're being that sacrificial lamb, and my mother used to say martyr, and she was the biggest one, you know, and when we martyr ourselves, no, I will do it, the limb falling off, the leg dragging behind us, but no, I'll get there for you. It's like,
Yes.
no, you can say no, you can have a boundary, and your reason for saying no is your reason, and it should be honored by someone else.
Right.
Well, that's not an excuse. It is. It's my excuse. It's my boundary. You can accept it, take it or leave it, but this is what it
Exactly.
is.
Exactly. Exactly. And then and then, but the beauty of doing that is that I feel like it's a teachable moment for the kids,
Hmm.
because you're teaching kids, well, I'm saying no and this is why and this is what's going on with me. And then but you can do it too. You know what
Yes.
I mean? And if someone does it to you, and
Mm.
this is why. And so it lends to all of that, because you don't, you're trying to teach your kids, resiliency, and this, that, and the other thing. So it really is about, well, what can we do to make it better? Or what's the lesson to be learned? Or, well, listen, I need 10 minutes. If you give me those 10 minutes, I can do this with you. Whatever it may be, there's an understanding and a compassion
Yeah.
there. Not to
There's
say,
also another word that we forget to use: delegate.
yeah, yeah, we don't
I
have to do
can't do this
everything.
right now. Will you put the washing on for me?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Who says we have to do it or
Okay.
be all?
Yeah, I had when listen, my mom went back to work when I was 9, my brother was 13. Okay. And so we were on our own. He was, she cooked dinner every Sunday night for the week and
Mm-hmm.
put it in the fridge. And
Mm-hmm.
then my brother would put it in the stove to heat up because she wouldn't let me near the stove. I was 9, but I had to do laundry. I had certain chores that at 9 years old I could do, and that's what I had to do. And that was the
Yes.
end.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like that was it.
It's the old adage, isn't it? Don't just give them fish all the time, teach them how to fish.
Yeah,
It's they're going to leave home. How many kids leave home and they don't know how to do their own laundry, don't know how to cook anything other than instant noodles, a can of soup, don't know how to maintain anything because we haven't taught them to be self-sustainable. And in self-sustainability, you go, okay, I can do this. I can't do that, so I'm going to find someone else to help
yeah,
me.
yeah. I, it was a few years before my daughter was going to college, and I was like, okay. And I was joking with her. I'm like, you're not going to gain the freshman 15 because you don't know how to cook. Like,
Yeah.
you don't do nothing.
Takeout's
Yeah.
expensive every night.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not giving you money. You know what I mean?
Right,
And
right.
so, she learned, but she learned. And even now, she's almost 20. She'll be 20 in August, and she is away at school and everything. But what should I do? Like,
Mm,
and my husband and I will say to her, what do you think
mm,
you should do? You
mhm.
know what I'm saying? Because,
Yeah. Allow them to deduce
right,
for themselves, right?
exactly,
As
exactly.
parents, we're always wondering, well, do it this way, do it that way, do it this way. I can find myself saying that as well. I've got very independent kids who will tell me when to back off, right? And I have to respect that because I'm a solution-based person. I see solutions and immediately I want to come up with them. But sometimes they've got to work it out for themselves.
Right. And I'm like the helper. I'm like the helper bee.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I'll help you, or something like that. And no, and that's one of the things doing all of this has taught me also is teaching them.
Yeah.
I can't help you. What do you think?
Mm.
Or what's the lesson that we could learn from
Yeah.
this? Or looking at it from a different lens that I
Yeah.
don't, what I mean. So it's funny how getting healthy and putting boundaries up and saying yes to myself, it also listen, and because listen, guys, I am so far from perfect, so don't think, oh my god, I'm human and stuff happens. That's not to say it doesn't, but 1,000%, I grew up in the era of do as I say, not as I do, and everything else like that. And
Mm.
you tend to repeat what just happens. But you know
Yeah.
what? I realized even before I started, but more so when I started the health journey and the personal development, everything. Wait a minute, this isn't going to fly anymore, and I don't want it to, and I want to break the cycle, if you will. So it
Yes.
kind of is doing that also.
Yeah. We talk about the mind, and the mind is the equation where because it's on this old patterning, and it's like on a cycle of patterning, repeat, repeat. We know it's bad for us, but we repeat, repeat, repeat. Somewhere along the line, the mind has to say, listen to the body, listen to the heart and soul. That's where the answers are. Take the breath, step away, and allow the
Hmm.
soul, heart, and spirit to have its own intellect because it will guide you to what you need to know when you need to know it. All the people think that knowledge is all in the noggin. It isn't.
Yeah.
The heart, soul, spirit, and body has its own intellect. Listen to the whole of you.
Hmm. It's funny you say that. I literally am reading the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, and I actually posted this yesterday. Something similar about don't listen to what people are saying to you. Listen to what your heart and intuition are saying because they know the way to go. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's
Yeah,
kind of what he was
that's
saying.
the wisdom. This is the knowledge.
Right.
The
Right.
wisdom knows how to use the knowledge,
Right. And
right?
a lot of times, and how often do we not listen to what our bodies are telling us?
Yeah.
We'll push further to your point. The limb is falling off, like you said earlier. The
Yes.
limb is falling off. We'll do it anyway. And
Yes.
so often we didn't. And then when we would do something more than we should have, how did we feel afterwards? You know what I'm saying? So it was just like
Resentful.
resentful, and our bodies were like, really?
I'm
How?
beaten up for what?
Like we went to war, but we didn't go through war. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. And it's like you kind of feel resentful, you feel used, you feel abused, but hang on, you allowed yourself to be because you kept saying yes.
Right. And that's why I talk about playing the victim card, because I
Yeah,
1,000% was that person who was like, if I was blaming everybody else for the way I was feeling.
right, right.
And it's hard, by the
Yes.
way, guys. It's not all rainbows and butterflies and everything. It is hard taking a look at yourself in the mirror and saying, not so
Yeah, I
hard.
know. That I used to, and when I was coaching, used to always have mirror therapy. Have a conversation with yourself in the mirror, eyeball to eyeball. It's very hard to fool yourself.
Hmm.
Very hard to
Hmm.
pull the wool over your eyes because your eyes are looking back and going, really, mate?
Right.
I
And
don't
you
care
know
what
the
the
truth.
mouth is saying. Look what I'm seeing to you.
Right. And you know the truth. And
Yeah,
that's the thing also. But it's not pretty doing that work. I'm very honest
yeah,
about that. But even still, I mean, and you don't stop doing the work. I don't know where I heard this statistic recently, but about, I think, 98% of millionaires and like like anybody in that bracket is always learning. They're always doing something to better themselves. 98%.
yeah.
So
If they're wise, they are.
yes,
Um,
never
you know,
stop.
what I'm seeing so much more in that kind of industry now, where it always used to be, the fame, the prestige, and the money. And for some people, it still is that. But so many of them have realized is that I may have money in the bank, but I'm very poor in my heart,
Right.
soul, and spirit. And they're realizing igniting the heart, the soul, the spirit, doing for others. The door, opening up the doors, giving
Hmm.
back is where the enrichment is.
Hmm.
And then that's where the balance is. You can have the money, but what are you going to do to seed it for others? And there's a
Right.
lot of that wakening up now, which is thank God.
Right. And who are you surrounding yourself with also? 'Cause
Yes.
that's about that, yes, giving back and doing all that stuff. Because money, you think, oh, when I have this kind of money, it'll make you happy. But you're right. A lot of people
Yeah,
are money rich and everything else poor.
exactly. When you were saying about the truth, you kind of Jack Nicholson's thing came up. You can't handle the truth. And initially, when we're talking to ourselves in that mirror, that is kind of what's coming back at us. What do you mean? I'm a good mom. I'm a good wife. I'm a good friend. Yeah. At what expense? Right?
Right. Oh, 1,000%. And there was so many times, or even like at their expense, which is, my kids play baseball. And at that time, my daughter was playing softball too. So it was like, oh my God, at their expense, well, we have to do something quick. Let's just get Wendy's for dinner. And I'm not knocking Wendy's because it's great, but like, it was just, and I was just like, I didn't want to deal with anything. I mean, I worked full time. They were in sports. It was like, I was just like, oh, it was like,
I
wait, I
know.
have to look at their homework. You
I
know what I
know.
mean? It was just, there was a lot of resentment, a lot of things, or I'm too tired, or
Yes.
those kind of a things. And it was just like, you could be good, whatever. You could be the best person ever, but like when you're feeling that way, and it affects your health. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it just affects your whole body and your whole well-being
Yes.
and everything like that. It just wasn't working for anybody, quite frankly.
Well, the
So
thing is, if the joy is not in it,
no.
then all you're doing is robotically doing it. I live with an 87-year-old who is a child when it comes to Christmas. The excitement, the tree going up, the lights, everything, the presents, everything about her is this little 6-year-old kid. And I go, well, why aren't you as excited as me? And I said, I love Christmas, but what I can't get her to understand, Christmas, I had two kids' birthdays either side of Christmas,
Mm,
who also had friends in the same month. And that meant doing birthday parties, going to birthday parties. I generally hosted a friend's Christmas do and hosted my husband's family Christmas and did Christmas as well. So December was one event after the other, which meant me cooking, me cleaning, me serving, me doing everything. And yes, I looked at Christmas, I would love to have the joy of it, but
right,
it was work. There wasn't time for joy. But
right,
I took that on and I should have said no to something. But we
right,
don't want to. No, no, I can handle that. No, no, I don't want to be a Scrooge.
right,
Right?
right. You don't want to be that mom, right? You don't want to
Yes.
be like, you know what I mean? And now the funny thing is, now I'll say, the funny thing is, because I have my son at home, like I said, my daughter's up at college, but I'll say to my son, I am that mom. I don't care. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like
yeah.
now I'm just like, you know what? Yep. You. I'm like, can somebody else drive you for a change? Like, as much as it's great that I'm able to do that, or we can
Yeah.
drive him to the gym or something else, how about you ask somebody? Like, it's wonderful
Yeah.
that I can, but it would be great if you asked somebody else too. So that's
Yes.
part of the setting of the boundaries and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, you do. But the thing is too, with your 87-year-old, how, like, I kind of understand where you're coming from, but then I feel like, oh, wait, I like that she has that 6-year-old childlike ability to still look at it. And then that's where I kind of think like, wait, that's actually really kind of neat. So it's like, how do you then shift the mind a little bit? You
Yeah.
don't have to, but
Right.
that's where my mind goes now, as
Mhm.
opposed to, no, this is the way it is kind of thing, very
Yeah.
black and white. You know what I mean? I kind of look
Yeah.
at it both
Yeah.
sides.
If it's not about becoming rigid, you
Right,
can still be flexible, but it's knowing your own boundaries, knowing your own energy.
right,
Take on, always allow energy to be able to take something on and do something for someone else. Always that is important, but just don't keep saying yes to something that's at the cost of yourself.
right,
It's the same thing with the oxygenate yourself. If you haven't got any oxygen, you can't put it on anyone
right,
else, right?
right.
What can you do for someone else when you're depleted?
Right. Oh, that, and you can, and the thing is, you can, but it won't be 100%. And then you'll have the the whole, oh, why did I do that for?
Yeah.
I can't believe I did that conversation. And it's really honestly not worth it. It's really not. I always used to wonder about the people who set the boundaries and said no and blah blah. And now I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's they're not being mean or anything else. They just know I've become far more selective.
Hmm.
I've realized that if I want to look after my health, my body, in my energy, then it's up to me. It's my responsibility. So I know what I can take on and what I can't. I know when I can push a little bit and when I've gone too far. And if you can't honor that, then you're not honoring me,
Right.
right? And
Right. And that leads
but
to
you do
also
have to
relationships.
articulate, I can only do this, I can only do that. Let people know. Don't
Right.
just suddenly say, I'm not doing anymore, right? Just
Right.
say, I can give you this much amount of me.
And you know what? What may happen, and it happened to me, where you may lose people. Like
Yes.
you may no longer be friends with people, because it's not necessarily because they're toxic. Sometimes maybe they are toxic and you realize it, but it's also they're not willing to accept the terms and conditions, if you will. You know what I
And
mean?
when you look
And you're
back at
not
it,
willing to put up with it either. I'm sorry,
no.
you're not on the other side. It's like, you know what? I No, I need to protect and I need to be in this space. So no, I
Yes.
can't deal with yours.
Right. If you can't support me in this transition or in the way where I am now, then you're clearly not a person that values me. So it is best you're out of my life. I did a collage many years ago, and it was um, the wonderful picture of a man with his hand over his mouth, and that was my ex. You have no say anymore, right? I had my, friends that I had now, and then I had projection of future friends, a home, and this, that, everything that I kind of wanted, right? And I showed it to my quote, quote, best friend. And she then wrote to all my other friends that they were all going to get dumped. And she dumped me before I dumped her. And we 19 years she was my sister. She was all my children's godmothers, and she'd been at every single birthday event and everything. And then suddenly this. And my daughter, who was, I can't remember, very young at the time, one that's about to have a baby, it said, oh, I'm so glad she's revealed herself, she's so toxic. And it's like, it's Auntie Sue. Yeah, yeah, Mom, but you don't really see her. And she was young. She has ability to see people from the inside out. And it's only when I got removed from her did I realize how much energy she had been sucking from me. She'd been a piranha every time we'd talked, every time we'd been together. I'd be exhausted afterwards and I wouldn't put the two and two together. So sometimes those people walking out of your life is actually a gift. It's the universe telling you that kind of energy is not good for where you're going.
Wow, wow. Your daughter's very intuitive. Just want
Yes, she is.
just want to
Yeah.
point that out. And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. I mean, you're absolutely right. And I didn't for a really, really, really long time. I had started to after my father had passed. Um, I had started to realize who was there for me and who wasn't.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't until honestly I had always kind of did it, but I always kind of gave people the benefit of the doubt.
Hmm.
And so in the last 5 or 6 months, I want to say, since like October, November, I'm like, you know what? No, 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 I need to really honor myself better. Like I realized who I was really surrounding myself with, and like who I was working out with and how I felt with them. And I love the people I work out with. I adore them. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm giving this up. Like this
Yeah.
is enough is enough. And
Yeah.
I have lost, sadly, a long friendship because of it. But it's just like I can no longer deplete energy
Mm.
where I'm not wanted, for lack of a better way to put
Right.
it.
Right. Fake friends,
Not
right?
worth it. It's you know what? I don't even think it's about. I think about, honestly. I never believed this, but I do think you do outgrow people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it just happened. Like we're just not in the same space. I
Yes.
and one of the things I was nervous of was I going to change who I was, because I'm
Mm.
very sarcastic. I'm a ridiculous person. Like I God forbid should grow up, but I'm also very caring and that
Mm.
kind of thing. And I was like, wait, if I change person, but I didn't. Like I didn't change at the core who I am. And
Right.
so I think that's why it took me so long though to get rid of, because I still cared. And I was like, wait a minute, let me give people the benefit of the doubt, that kind of a thing. And I was like, you know what? No, I just, it was like, you know what? You're not serving me. I'm not serving. It's just not there anymore. I can't be like this. Even with my family, I'm like, stop complaining for real. Like, just,
Yeah. And that's the point there. If you are not honoring yourself, you are not being truthful or authentic to anyone else.
right.
It took me a long time for me to give myself permission to be me, because it was always bending in a pretzel to try and be what everybody wanted me to be. And that is exhausting,
Yeah.
totally exhausting. And it's confusing to them and to you. So standing up and saying, this is me and all my flawsomeness,
Yeah.
right? And I am looking at improving myself for me, not
Right.
doing it for anyone else. And if you see that and you want to be a part of that, welcome.
Right.
If you're there to critique and judge, I love you, goodbye, wish you well.
That's it. 1,000%. And that includes family. That,
Hmm.
and that's where it can be difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, my son's 15, so of course everything is a problem. He's hormonal and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, teenage years.
And then she's 19.
Head spinning
I
around.
mean, for real. And
Yeah.
then, but I'm like, guys, I'm like, I get it, but at the same, and I try to impart, that the whole learnings or whatever, that kind of a thing. My husband, I'm like, you can, like, there are days I just stay away from him because I'm like, you're complaining too much. Like, I need you, no, like, just no, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's true. It's just you have to, and it's hard to honor that. But
Mm.
when you do, and the funny thing is, like with my kids and with my husband, I see they realize, and I'll just be like, okay, what could happen today? Because I write down good things that happen in my day. That's just something that I do.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, what could happen? Like, okay, you want to complain, great, but like, okay, now mix it up with something good that's happened in the day.
Yeah. It's also kind of good because your son is 15, your daughter's 19, but she's away. But, to say to him, you are in self-discovery of your life, what's important to you, where you want to go. I'm at a stage of life when I'm in rediscovery. So
Mm,
help me, support me. I will support you. Let's have these conversations and see how we can support each other.
yeah, I love that. I'll actually do that. I don't do it like that, but yeah, that's a really, I like that.
It was actually my kids that came to me and said, Mom, time to divorce. It's time to put value on your own life. Mom, stop being there for everyone. Start being there for yourself, because I was being that sacrificial lamb. And, it was like I needed that permission because it's always our kids come first, right?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
and the funny thing is my daughter and I had the relationship where she's also very honest with me in certain instances. And yeah, we were having some issues in November. She's like, why don't you divorce him? Like, she actually
Mm,
said that to me.
yeah.
And most people would get mad at it, but I actually commended her for
Yes.
saying it to me. And my husband and I hashed everything the other day, actually just literally this past weekend. And it turns out, by the way, when you peel back the layers and actually have truthful conversations, in my case, we were both feeling literally the exact same way and just
Right.
reacting in different ways. And
Right.
so we decided, in our case, to do a clean slate. And my daughter and I, like, we were just talking and about certain things and certain ways that she felt that she told him. And I'm like, no, but I'd rather know. I'm like,
Yeah.
even if it, you're, whatever, I'd rather know. And I said that to my husband too. I'm like, I need to know. So what happened was, because we decided that we both needed to know, we
Yes.
found all this information out, and now we can go work towards the greater good, if you will.
Yeah. Whether it's together or apart,
Right.
as you said, you outgrow friends. That statement, you're not the woman or you're not the man I married. No,
No,
And if you're wanting that person still to be that same person 15, 20 years or later, you're the ignoramus,
right,
because we are meant to grow. We are meant to
exactly.
evolve. And yes, we evolve at different stages. And what we should be is like, this is your time for evolve. I'm going to support you. And then there'll be, the pendulum swinging the other way.
Mhm.
And if that doesn't happen,
Right.
then you get so far apart that you don't know how to find a way back.
A lot of times, 1,000% yes, and and it goes back to the resentment and all the other things that we've been talking
Yes,
about, you know. And I mean, we had a very frank conversation, and it was like, there's no possible way we want to spend the rest of our lives doing what we were doing prior. But you
right.
know, to my daughter's credit, she did say something. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And even things that I was doing that I did, and I said to her, I didn't know I was even doing these. So yeah, even though I'm evolved, even though I do personal development, even though I do all these
yes,
things, I'm still human, and so I mess up, and so it could happen. But you know, when you raise, I don't even say what you raise. It was nice enough that my daughter and your kids had enough wherewithal
yeah,
to know that if they came to you and said something to you, they were doing the right thing by doing
right. Exactly. And what we forget is they're in the soup too.
that.
And if we're adding ingredients that that are not good for us, it's not good for them. And when your son becomes your mediator between the mother and father, there's something wrong here,
Right.
right?
Oh,
And so,
it's 100%.
yeah, so it's time to change, and there is no shame in saying this isn't working anymore. And there are so many people that have separated, and they have become the best of friends and the best of parents. They just knew they loved each other, but they couldn't be in love with each other.
There was, when my son was 2, not quite 2, I went back to work full time. I was home with him, and then I went back to work. Long story short, there was a little girl there with him. Her name was Alex, and her parents were divorced. And her father was literally at everything.
Yes.
And the mother couldn't, and the mother was there when she could be, and when the mother couldn't be there, the father was there
Hmm.
every time. And the mother said they were actually better friends,
Yeah. Yeah.
not married,
Yeah. It's
than they were when they
ridiculous.
were married.
It's
They were
ridiculous.
together at everything.
When you see older people walking down the street holding hands and they've been married for 50 years, fantastic. But it's more of a rarity today,
Right,
and it's because I think they lived in the expectations of this was it. Make the
right,
best of it, find
right,
love. We now are evolving to realize there is so much more. We are so much more. And it's not like I want more. This is not good enough. No, it's that we are more. We are meant to evolve. We are meant to grow. We are meant
right,
to ascend to a higher level. And sometimes you can't always do that with your partner at the same time.
right.
And that's just the way it is.
Right. Oh, oh, totally. And it was interesting. I was talking with someone yesterday, and we were talking. I was talking about my mom, and so my mom is going to be 80 in May. Totally giving away her age, but anyway, but she's from the age of, you got married young, and
Hmm.
you stayed married, and that was just, you know what I mean. You were, and then the wife was, served the husband and that kind of a thing. And when my father passed, I absolutely thought, and my father was the outgoing, gregarious kind, and my mom is the shy type of person.
Hmm.
And when my father passed, he's gone almost 10 years now. I was for sure convinced that she was going to be dead and buried next to him within a year. And I told her that because I just didn't think she can survive without him, because she was, you know, his confidant,
Dependent.
everything,
Right.
dependent,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, before COVID, she was never home. Like, she just totally transformed herself, put
Hmm.
herself out there, whatever else. Long story short, somebody said to me, "Well, she filled her role." So basically,
Mm.
that's what was going on then.
Yes.
The women kind of
Yes.
filled the role, and when my father's passing, her role wasn't there anymore, so she made a new one. And to
Right.
her credit, she did. And that's the thing. And then I think that's awesome, by the way. I'm so glad to be proven wrong. But it's the same thing like now, like my generation, even yours. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're realizing that we don't have to, it
Right.
doesn't have to be that way. There are different things it could be. We're ever evolving, and realizing, wait a minute, I don't feel good when I do. We're putting two and two together. We're really taking note of what's going on. And I think, especially now with everything going on in the world, I think a lot of people are also starting to realize so many other things, because, we've had to,
Yes.
about themselves and other people and what they want and all those other kind of things. And I actually think that's good. I actually think that's a good part that's come out of all this
Yeah,
environment.
actually, two thoughts come to mind. One reminds me of my mum. My mum in England was pearls and tweets, and when my father passed, we moved to South Africa. And I'm coming home from school one day and I'm seeing this woman on the back of a motorcycle with a man, and they pull into where I live. And I think, who are these people? Go up there. And it was a long flowing hair. My mum's in a wig. She's on the back of a motorcycle. She's 50, and she's completely a different woman. She had never in her generation been given permission to be this wonderful, exuberant woman. It was filling the role, right? But I watched the Meghan and Harry the other night. And I couldn't go to sleep. I tried going to sleep, and I just said, no, I've just got to do this. And I just got up and wrote an article. And I've done a couple of shows on my own personal channel, when they left the royal family a year ago and when they got married. And, for that, I can commend them for finding the courage to say, I am not going to stay out of duty in a broken system that is sucking the life out of me. And I commend them for that. And of course, what do we see the next day? All the bashing
Hmm.
and the thising and the thating. And you know what? That hate, and I even mentioned it in the article, that hate is on you.
Yeah,
If you're going to turn around without the compassion, without the understanding, without the acceptance of the strength and the bravery it took to come out and speak about this vulnerability, which has now given other people the permission to be vulnerable, the permission to say, if I'm depressed or if I'm this or if I'm suicidal, I can talk about it. But for all those hate mongers out there, you know, your hate is a representation of your own dysfunction and your own lack of
yep,
self,
yep.
right?
All
Right?
the shaming that people are doing, regardless
Yes.
of Meghan and Harry, too. By
Yes.
the way, it's like every time you post something and blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and everybody starts shaming,
Yeah.
and it's just like, and I didn't watch it. I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch it, but at the same time,
I'm
I
British.
do, and like, you know what, you don't know. I mean, yes, they talk about what went on, sure, but you don't really know. I mean, let's be
No,
honest,
I
you
mean, they
don't
were
really
still
know.
filtered,
Yeah, right,
in order to
exactly.
protect. They were
So
still
yeah,
filtered.
just like force, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and in their case, look at his mother. So like, hi, I mean, really. So anyway, that being said, like, and somebody also said about that, by the way, about what Harry did.
Mm.
So looking at it from Harry's
Yeah.
perspective of that his wife came to him and said, "I'm feeling this way," and he
Yes.
took measures to protect his wife and said, "You
Yes.
know what?" He didn't turn around and say, "You married me, and this is
You're
what we
right.
have to do." He was like, "Totally hear what you're saying. Cool beans, let's go." I mean, obviously, not
Yeah.
like that, but you know what I mean. So I get, you know what I'm saying, and that I
Put
think
his
is
family first. He saw it
he
going down the
he
same way as his mother, and he
and
said,
he
"This is not going to happen."
and that's been known about how he was affected with his mom
Right.
and everything like that. But there's the people who shame, and I see it too on social media, and I'm like, yeah, that belongs to them and everything like that. But I also feel like in the last few years, we used to be type of people who had compassion, and
Yeah.
people can post, when I'm having a rough day with my kid,
Mm.
my son has ADHD, I want to pull my hair out, but I don't do well in jail.
Mm.
What can I do? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And people would be like, well, here, try this, try that, try the other thing. But now it's like, well, what the hell's wrong with you? I don't understand. And it's the bashing and the shaming. And yes, it's on them, but it's also really hard, even when you do all the work
Yeah.
and all of that, to be like, whoa, and even say it's on them. And
Yeah.
especially when you have kids, they
Yes.
don't have the armor yet to be like, to be like Wonder Woman, and and that kind of a thing. And I just don't understand why. And I never understood even when I didn't do the work, I
Mm.
never understood the bashing of, like, I just it's not in my. I just don't understand why people do that, and it's on them, and they have to do the work on them. But it's like, just,
Yeah.
if your mother ever said you don't, if you have nothing
I
nice to say
know. I
against
know.
me at all.
I know, but what I have found is in all the shows that I've been doing over the 9 years, there's a common denominator, and a great deal of it is a child that's been forgotten within them. I've got a forgotten children series coming up and books coming up, etc. And I found that whether it's actually a physically or emotionally injured child, there's the child that wasn't allowed the voice, of the child that wasn't seen, the child that was told, do what I tell you to do, and wasn't allowed a voice. Um, those children are the adult's insecurity. I just want to be loved. I just want to be wanted. It's easier to turn around and hate and bash than for me to do the work and love myself and go through the process. Those that go through the process, like yourself, you come out stronger, more enriched, more abundant, discovering abilities and things about yourself that you never knew you could do before. And you are now in service of others to help them find that path.
Yep.
It takes courage and strength to go through that. But when you go through that, who you become is
Hmm.
absolutely awesome. But if you're abstaining from going through that because you're not willing to do the work, in your disgruntledness, you're going to dump your shoot on everyone else.
Right. Oh, that. Yep. You hit the nail right on the head with that one. And it's, you know what? Yeah.
Mm.
I can't even add. Yeah, it's so, you know what? It's really, really true. And honestly, I just find it sad because I really just feel like even before everything happened, people sometimes just want to. They need to let it out. They just need
Yeah.
to be like, other people are going through the same crap that they are. You know what I
We've,
mean? Sometimes
we've,
it's just nice to know you're not alone.
yeah, exactly. We're not alone. Can you show me anybody that it hasn't
Right.
or isn't going through something? That is the journey of life. That
Right.
is the lesson of life, to become the beautiful human beings that we really are.
Right.
And, life, the universe and the earth doesn't owe us anything. We've got to be respectful of the gifts that we've been given and learn to use them appropriately in service and help of others. Um, I think life is an algorithm. So what you feed, what you water will grow.
Yep.
And if you grow the support and you grow the love and you grow the caringness, that is what you're going to feel and receive back. If you're going to feed the hate and the hysteria, like we have seen in North America for the last 5 years, that hurricane of hate and spewing stuff all the time. When people reached the end of January this year and they said, oh my God, we're back to boring. How wonderful. I can take a breath. And they didn't realize how much they were affected by that vibration of that
Right.
hate roller coaster, right? And it's
Right.
like, yeah, give me boring anytime.
Or even like, when we get back to normal. What's the normal?
What's normal? Yes. You're right. Who's normal? Which society is normal? There's a religious normal, government normal, expectation society
And do we
normal.
really want to go back to
I don't want to go
back
back.
to
It
that
was dysfunctional. No. I want the new norm to be based in kindness, caring, love, and compassion and collaboration.
Yep. Yep. I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, it's, yeah. It's when everything first started, I was like, I couldn't like take what was going on. It was driving
Mm,
me insane. And so I actually created a Facebook group called No Corona for You. And I really did. And I was like, no, I like, we need to just do it's, it's ridiculousness, inspirational, whatever else like that. But it was hard to keep up with it. And who knew it was gonna, who knew?
yep.
Here we are. So after a few months, I had stopped it, but I was like, I needed an escape, and I knew other
Yes.
people needed an escape also. You know what I mean? And then it was like, and you just kind of have to scroll. Sometimes you just can't, and like it's just, I look and I see, and I'm just like, guys, we can do better, like for real, like we could there's
Yeah.
there's just so much better, because literally no matter what happens, something has something to, that's what I've been finding lately.
Yes.
Okay, whatever, like, but somebody always has something to say about something, and somebody is just, there's always going to be someone who's just not happy. And then
Right. Yeah.
so what normal, who we pleasing, what are we doing? How about we collectively come up with a way that works for some people?
Right.
you know, there's always going to be somebody who has something to say. That's just sadly reality.
And that there's only so much you can do for people. And I always think that inspiration begets invitation. And when people are seeing you, you lost the way. You chose your life. You
Hmm.
are in redirection,
Yes.
of who you are, with your abundance of yourself and where you want to go. And we'll talk about isogenics in a moment, because that was your platform to
Yes.
bring you back to your health and wellness. And that's what's made you excited about doing
Hmm.
something in life. And we have to find that excitement.
Yes.
And we have to be willing to kind of throw the arms around ourselves and go, there, I love you. What
Right.
can I do for you? And you've done it. And so that example to other people is like, it doesn't matter where you're at. When you change your mind, you can be elsewhere. But you've got to be willing to do the work, to go through the process, to take the steps. There's no downloadable app,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. And you have to be willing to, like we said earlier, and I'll go back to the point about looking in the mirror. I'm
Yeah.
taking them there, and know that it's a lot of the times it's yourself. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I know it was like I had a lot of limiting beliefs and all this other kind of stuff, even, and I decided this year, I was like, okay, I can't, like, some things I need to do something. And I'm doing a mastermind with someone I belong to a women's group in. And it's unbelievable what's going on. But I was very much called to it. And I'd never felt like this before. It was very odd for me. But
Yeah.
I was very much, I knew I had to do it, like,
Yes.
very much like that. And I knew it was going to be super emotional, but I knew it was going to be super great also.
Right. It's we were given emotions for a reason. Whenever we're going through emotion, there's something that's causing that emotion. And it's for you
Right.
to look at, what's causing? Why am I angry? Why am I sad? Why am I this or that? Pay attention to it because it is telling you to do so. What the problem is we become emotional about the emotion. Is right? And that's where the drama comes out, the victimization comes out, right? So if we just look, I'm mad, okay, I'm mad. Oh, the world's against me. And then next thing you know, we have a soap opera, right? And, it's like, just take a breath. You're mad. What's making you mad right now?
Right.
Are you out of alignment within yourself? Has somebody pissed you off? Is there an energetic around you that's causing it? Is it your anger or are you taking it on? Ask the questions before you go into reaction.
Right. And that took, and I'm still working on that, by the way.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a lot. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the mind knows. It's getting in sync and it's taking that breath when you know. No, take a breath. Take a breath. Let it go before you get into react. Because we're all going to have buttons pushed,
Hmm.
right? It's just separate yourself from it before you get sucked up into it.
Right. Right. And that takes, and that's a, it's like a hone, it's a skill you hone, and you
Mm,
keep honing as
yeah.
well. You can't lose sight of it, because if you do, you're going to just revert back to your old habits. So you have to constantly be working on it.
Yeah.
Or at least, even if you're not, like, recognize that you're falling back into old habits. Okay, wait a minute.
Right.
Okay, okay, what do I need to do? Or have
Yes.
an accountability partner, have a community, whatever it may be. That it's like, okay, even if you're like, I don't know what to do, you have someone to talk to, be like, okay, well, here's where I'm at the moment. What you got?
Yeah.
Kind of.
And that's where you kind of reach out to your sisterhood and everything else. This is where I find social media wonderful. I can put out there, having a bad day, got this and that, and I have a whole lot of people supporting me.
Mm-hmm.
Wish you well, love this and that. A quick story about my mum who was dying. She was in a great deal of pain. She wanted to cross over, just didn't know how to die. Was in too much pain to die. It was apparently a dull day. And my mum's room faced, they put her in the living room. So it was a beautiful bay window. And my sister said the sun came through the window, shone on my mum. She opened her eyes, she opened her hands, and she ascended. 24 hours before that, I'd gone on social media and I said, my mum needs prayers. She needs help to cross over peacefully. And I had over 100 people, not likes and comment, the comment, here's the blessings for your mom, here's the love for your mom, here's this for your mom. Within 24 hours, she passed over peacefully. Please do not tell me that social media cannot be there for our
Oh,
benefit. That energetic love helped her ascend. Why can't we use this energetic love towards each other? Sometimes all you can do is just wish someone well, but
yep.
that energy is something they're taking in and it becomes part of the repair.
I 1,000%. Sometimes you just, that's why I love social media, for that
Mm.
reason.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful story, by the way. I'm sorry about your mom, but that is an
Oh no, she was
absolutely beautiful story.
95. She was 95. She'd been sick for a while. And, it was sometimes, it's honoring, letting people go. I've done a lot of shows on death and been around death a lot. And it's this crying, don't go, is actually so detrimental to someone crossing over.
Mm-hmm.
The more I love you, go in peace. I'm always with you. That energy will help them ascend. And
Oh, yeah.
because it's not about you, it's about them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and,
Mm-hmm.
obviously during these COVID times, there's how many millions of deaths that we've had around the world, families with so much loss, never mind, loss of income and loss of life and everything else. Aside from that disruption, it's been an incredible wake up call for everybody
Yeah.
because it gave people time to take a breath and to review their lives
Hmm.
and go, what's not working for me?
Right.
And how do I redirect?
Yep. Yep. Very, and that was me. I mean, I was doing this. I was doing it while I was working in corporate,
Hmm.
but my job ended. My job contract ended March 31st of last
A
year.
blessing.
And it was like, okay, I guess I'll do this full time. You know what I mean? But like, absolutely, the reevaluations, the you're in a job that you may not love, your job that you didn't love got pulled out from under you, or
Yes.
what, I mean, or even the kids, here in New York. I mean, my son hasn't seen the inside of a school in a year. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and is it ideal? No. But at the same time, you're figuring out how to navigate all this minutia.
Yes.
So we're building these muscles that we didn't necessarily know we had, and there you go. And it's like, okay, we can wait. I don't have the security anymore. I don't have the wait a minute. You know what I mean? What
Yeah.
am I going to do? What do I want? And really having the mirror conversations. A
Yeah.
lot of people are, I really do absolutely feel like that's what the good has come out of this. To be honest,
Yes.
I really do.
So your platform, the thing that worked for you, that changed your life physically, has been isogenics.
Yeah.
So I have done shows on isogenics before, and I know it's changed a lot of people's lives. But tell us how it's changed yours and why you decided to use it as a business platform.
Oh God. So when I started, well, the personal development piece was the piece I didn't know about
Mm,
when I started, and that's the huge, a lot of it, quite frankly, is that personal development. That, wait a minute, I'm in control, and everything that we've just talked about, and honestly. Because I was a working mom at the time, the ease and convenience. I mean, it's literally just shake. It's a shake that you just shake
yeah.
it up and drink.
Yeah. Shake it off.
you know and so I mean, honestly, it was the convenience of it, and it was really also how I felt. I mean, I love the community, I love
Mm,
the system, I love the the there's a vibe. I don't know how else to describe it. There's a vibe about it. And people always said, well, you'll know about it when you go to in-person
yeah.
events, that kind of a thing. And so that's what
It's
it
a
was.
community for you.
The community,
Yeah.
the people,
Yeah.
and honestly, the products, and it was about also the choice.
Yeah.
So it provided me with choices. I
Mm,
mean, that's the whole thing, and that's why I like to share it with others. Like, I didn't know. I was, you go to school, you get a job, and that's how life works. So I didn't know any different way. And
right.
I had my kids, and I went back to work. I had my daughter in August of '01. 9/11 happened. I went back to work. She was 10 weeks old, November 1st. It
Mm,
was awful. It was
yes.
all of the feelings. And
Right.
I didn't, and listen, personally, if I had the choice, I would have stayed home. I didn't.
Yes.
But the point of doing something like isogenics is that it gives people, so even if you love your job, you still have to,
Yes.
you still have a
Yes.
bill you
It's
pay.
not a job if you love it, right? It's a
You know
calling.
what I mean? Exactly. And that's the thing. I worked in advertising. So this was like so far beyond anything I
Mm,
had ever even thought about. But the minute I put these products into my body, I was like, wait, I've maintained a healthy lifestyle 5.5 years now. And I talk about the healthy lifestyle now, life sentence, everything. But the reason why I'm able to do that is the mindset.
yes.
Because you cannot, because diets don't work because you're depriving yourself, or you and the reason why people, it's not sustainable, is because, oh, I need to lose 10 pounds for the wedding, and you lose 10 pounds for the wedding, and then
Yeah.
you go right back to the way you were.
Right.
The whole mindset portion of it, and it's constantly work. When the pandemic hit last year, they started doing power hours. So basically, it's an hour that you're sitting on the computer and doing income producing activities. To this day, every day, Monday through Friday, from 12 to 1, we do power hours. Who else does that?
Yes.
And it was, you know what I mean? This wasn't from Isogenics corporate. This was our team. This was our
Right.
community. coming
Yes.
together and saying, you know what, let's make something of this, let's do something
Right.
with this information.
What do we
And,
need, and
yeah,
let's provide it. Yeah.
and it's really about that. It's that community. It's about lifting you up when you need it, but it's also about calling you out on your crap at the same time. So it's not blowing smoke up your butt,
Mm,
for lack of a better way to put it. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's really about, and it's giving you the tools of how to do it.
Hmm.
And it's not like you do it this way, that's just the way you do it. This is how I do it. And then you tailor it to yourself. So, like, even today, the power hour, somebody said something, and I was like, ah, oh my
Hmm.
God,
Yeah.
it's
We
brilliant.
we learn best from the teachers who have gone before us, the people that have learned it themselves. But if you're ever selling a product, it's not about selling the product. It's about how the product has changed you,
Hmm.
how you are living with that product, what it's done for you, because that's what you're selling. You're
Right,
selling that lifestyle. You're selling that wellness,
right,
right? And if it's worked for you, it's like Harry met Sally. I'll have what she's having,
right.
right?
Exactly.
So like you've got more energy, you feel great, you've lost weight, you seem to enjoy life, and you're far more exuberant. What are you doing?
Yep.
That is the sales pitch. It's not like you've got to try this product. You got to try. I was never any good at that.
And I'll be honest with you, I was that. I'm not going to lie. I mean, but I was that person. But that's the beauty of the learning and the doing the, all of the other things. And it's
Yes.
just like even like the elevator pitch and everything. And it's so funny you bring up like all the things you said because so many people have said to me, you know, I do. Well, now you're friends with me on Facebook, so you'll see them. I do every day. I do a Facebook Live dance break. I turn on Alexa and I just literally dance with funny glasses on Facebook.
Right. I've
And
seen that. And you're a disco queen, which is, I was too from
I
the
know.
70s.
I actually have a shirt that says hashtag dance break, and I'm getting one that says dancing queen and disco queen. But
Great.
anyway, for real. But I do these things every day, and a lot of times people comment, "I love your energy." Or even
Yes.
the women's networking group I belong to, I've talked about isogenics in this networking group, and they're based in Oregon. And so people like they'll friend, oh my God, I love your energy. Like so many people say this to me, and I was
Yeah.
a lunatic before isogenics, so
Yeah.
so
It's
this, you know,
be
and
it.
that's where, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
I've learned to embrace. I used to be, even though I'm 5 years in, I was like, oh my God, you know, that kind of a, and to be, you know, perfectly transparent about it. But now I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am. And it's awesome. And you can feel like this too.
Yeah.
It may not be for you. I don't know, but maybe we can have a conversation about it and see. You drink Red Bull. Literally, somebody just said to me she drinks Red Bull all the time. I'm like, we have a healthy version of an energy drink. You want to try it? Take a look at it. Here's information. And
Right.
she,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I kind of, you know, you're right. A point I
Yes.
felt it's owning, owning who you are. And I am I mean, I live the lifestyle that I say that I do. I
Right.
actually show people that I have caramel ice cream cake. It's not like I don't, you know, and I don't pretend to be something. I never did. I was never the type of person to be, pretend to be something I'm not. What I am doing now, what I didn't do before, was step into that more so.
Right. Own it
Right,
completely.
right,
Inspiration begets invitation. When people are inspired, they're invited to know more.
right,
Sales today has changed considerably. It's so competitive. There's so much stuff out
right.
there, and people don't come to me with the pitch. Right? Just did a show about ditch the pitch. It's come to me about your exuberance of life and
Mhm.
what's made it so.
Yep,
It's about a relationship. It's about building that community. It's about seeing someone else and hearing them first and go, I hear you. I was there. I did. This is what I did. It may not be for you, but it
right.
may be. The door is open. It's up to them whether they go walk in.
Right,
Nobody wants anything shoved down their throat anymore. But when they see it working for you, well, if that's doing that for you, then I'm very interested in giving it a try. And as you
right,
said, some people, it might be just taking the product. Some
right,
people might be want to get into the whole sales side of it. It doesn't matter. Some people may only dip their toe in it and find, ooh, I like this. I'm going to put my whole foot in,
right,
right? Let them go at their own pace, be supportive. But the whole thing is
right,
in opening up the door for when they're ready to come
right.
through.
And even education too. It's
Yeah.
also about sometimes you know because people you have the the naysayers and all those kind
Yes.
of people and whatnot, and that's fine. And sometimes it's just what they don't know what they don't know. Somebody
Right.
just asked for a work from home position in the group that I'm in on Facebook, and she wrote no MLM. And I commented, and all I said was, "How come you're saying no to MLM?" That's it. That's all I
Yes.
asked. I didn't say what I did. Like I didn't shove any, because
Mm,
I was honestly curious to know why. Because I'm not trying to defend it, but at the same time, I'm curious to know why she said no.
right.
Because
And,
then
open up
then
the
it helps me.
conversation. Right.
Right.
And the
Exactly.
thing is, I've done MLMs in the past, and there's some very good ones, and there are some very bad ones.
Right.
And, and the thing is, there is one company I'm not going to mention that used to be out there, and it was all about the rah, rah, rah. Products were shit, but it was all about the rah, rah, rah selling, getting people hyped up. And although they're the same name, they've got about how they sell and recruit now. And they never let people know what the company is before they let them know what they can do. And then the company is the backbone in rebuilding their brand because they knew they did it the wrong way. It's not about the hype. And that's why most MLMs die, because you've got the people up there, hype, 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 excuse me, dancing to it.
Right. Take a drink.
So people are inviting people to the hype,
Right.
and they get caught up in that.
Right.
And then they're kind of left holding it, yeah, but I can't sell it like you.
Right.
Or it doesn't do that for me. I'm feeling left in the wind. And that's where MLMs have gone wrong. And so many now are recognizing that,
Right.
and they've gone about it in a different way,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, yes, in the past, I agree. But why don't you inquire as to what kind of MLM this is?
Right. Well, that 100% that, and now I honestly do think so. You have each end of the spectrum where sometimes people still like, no, nope, nope, I don't want MLMs. But now with everything going on, back to what we were talking about before about pivoting and what life you want to lead, people are more apt now to have that conversation, because even if they still, again, back to the choices, because
Yeah.
people are realizing now also that things could just change in a dime. So
Yes.
multiple sources of income, the gig economy, regardless of MLM or not.
Yeah.
People have so many people I know have side some sort of side something. And
Yeah.
think about it. And then I was thinking about this like when we were kids. I know, so I grew up in in the 70s and 80s. So many people I know had paper routes
Yeah.
and this, we had like 40 jobs like at one time as kids.
Yes.
That's just,
We did.
and then it's just some reason as adults we're like, don't we just have the one job and the one paycheck?
Sorry, this happens every show. My daughter's baby shower picture comes up. We can't get rid of it. It's the rainbow. Maybe when the baby's born, it will be gone, but it comes and it will go away again. But hey, rainbow of
That's
hope
where
there, right?
There you go. There you go. But yeah, that's what's happening. So I just like to share with people. I absolutely used to be, this kind of, oh my god, deprived person. And now, what I've talked about recently, like I posted a picture of I forgot the name of the company at the moment, but anyway, these healthy potato chips that I was having
Hmm.
off the beaten path. That's the name of the
Hmm.
company.
Right.
And I was like, I would have never, like, I would have looked at this bag and been like, I would have laughed at the name,
Yeah.
honestly, before that. And I'm like, you know what? And now because I'm healthy, I do eat these. So that's kind of where I'm coming, or even like the energy drinks. Like I just talk about how it's things that I would have never done, but I do now, and I enjoy doing them. And and yeah, I invite people to take a look, and and I just, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of everybody, but I also say, listen, like I said, I worked in advertising. I didn't even know that this was going to be something I was going to do for a living. You would have,
Right.
I mean, 7 years ago, I would have thought you were out of your mind, out of your ever loving mind, for me to tell you that. This is what you're going to be doing, for full time. I would have never guessed it. And that's the beauty of it too, is that
Yes.
you can, even if you don't want to do it what I'm doing, let me be the inspiration to know that you can do anything you want to do if you make that decision and then take that action step. And it doesn't matter what age you are, by the way, either, because
Oh,
I was in my late 40s when I started. But
I
maybe
started this 9 years ago. Yeah, if you told me, in fact, actually, I went to a reader. I've been a reader all my life, and I went to a reader, and she said, "You're going to do something online that's going to save lives and have a global impact." At that time, I was backing a new electric motor, and it was like, online? How is this going to do it? The electric motor, a whole sad story, of um, completely redirect from that. This came out of depression. I'd written an article on depression because I suffer from it. Somebody read it, looked at my site, and said, "Oh, I think you should join my network as a podcaster." And I go, "What's that?" I didn't even know, right? I went on, it was live for 13 months, and the things that went wrong, was a fantastic training ground. And then I started my own in June 8 years ago. So I've been doing this 9 years now. I have learned so much about
Mhm.
myself. I've learned that I'm much more technical than I thought I was because I have to do it all myself.
Mhm.
Used to be a bit more shy, about reaching out to people. Now, no problem whatsoever. And the more you immerse in something and you
Right.
get joy out of it, the better you can
Right.
become of it. I was 57 when I started this.
Mhm.
I'm 66 now. So don't put an age bracket. The
Right.
oldest I've interviewed, she was 89, and she has her own, just 2 years ago, started her own TV show,
That's awesome.
right? So it's got nothing to do with age because you should be living life
Yep.
every moment of every day until
Yep.
your body is released and your spirit
Exactly.
moves on.
And honest to God, I mean, we all deserve to feel good.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
that's the real hard truth. I mean, I don't think a lot of us realize that we are allowed to actually feel good. It's
But that's
not,
the
oh my
point. We're
God,
meant to.
about oh, I have to be 40 pounds lighter. I have to be this, that, and the other thing.
Yes,
I mean, I saw somebody say something the other day about health products. It wasn't just about mine, but it was about those health coaches who don't look like health coaches.
yes.
I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so there was so much a part of me that I was like, you know,
Yeah.
um, and I was like, because I really wanted to be like, and then I was like, you know what, that's their ignorance. Like I
Yes.
then I took that road of that was where the personal development gave it. I was like, because I was just like, who said? And that's what I joke my book is going to be called "Who Said," because who decided that somebody who was healthy is stick figure thin? Where did
Right.
that come in? So
Yeah.
that's where I like the fact that, and I know we don't just do that. I know other health companies do that too, but it's not just about promoting. And even what I love about isogenics, to add to what I was saying earlier, they were very much known for the nutrition and the weight loss
Mm,
products, and now they're actually rebranding to the art of wellness, to be
mm.
overall about wellness. So they
And
haven't changed their
health
products
is
to
an
be
overall thing. It's not just that,
exactly,
it's
you
just not
know,
the medical system is about only addressing the symptom. And if
right,
you don't get to the root cause of it, which is mind, body, heart, and soul and spirit, if you don't look at the whole of you, you cannot repair the whole of you.
right,
So you know that you've got to work on the mind, you've got to work on the heart, soul, and spirit. And
right,
when you're working on the body, it's about the balance, it's about the equilibrium there. And so you need something that's going to go to the core. And so I'm very glad that they're doing the whole wellness because please, folks, it's not just one thing
right.
that's going to be your answer. There is not one size fits all.
No, and I tell people that all the time too. And that's what I think to your point about the importance of selling and everything like that. It's not you have to do what I do. I don't care
Right.
what it is that you're selling. It's here's what I do, and look and do, because a lot of people are like, well, I want to lose weight. What should I do? And my
Mm.
response is always, well, here's what I do. Do what's right for you. You have to do your own research. Like anything else. How many times do you go on Google for something? How
Yes.
many times do you go on Facebook and ask opinions for something? Same thing. It's all the same thing.
Exactly. It's about growth,
Right.
expansion. One of the things I think that I don't know where, we see it in our children and we're in awe of them, when our puppy dogs and kittens, they're always exploring. They're
Mhm.
always discovering. And the reason why this is called self-discovery, because we should always be discovering something about ourselves.
Mhm.
We should live in exploration and wonderment. What else can I do? What other possibilities are out there for me? Why must I limit myself or
Yep.
box myself? Forget it. I don't want to be restricted.
I
Boundaries, but not restriction.
I love that so much, and I love that because, and I think about that often. Like when my kids were younger, I used to love looking at it from their lens. I'm like, oh my god, like a button is fascinating to them. You know
Yes,
what I mean? And
yes,
that's
yes.
exactly how we should be. It's like,
The
you know,
simple things, right?
yes, it's
Why
just
does it
oh
have
my
to be
god.
fireworks,
It
right?
doesn't, and that's the thing, and that's the problem too. I think we're all waiting for like
Yeah,
this big bang. I had to
yeah,
do it. But no, it's just it could be as simple as oh my god, I can feel good. Oh my god, I can do this. You know what I mean? Like look at you. You didn't know what a podcast was, and you did it anyway.
yeah. You know, and I think also a big word that we should live by is gratitude.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Stop looking at what you don't have and be grateful for what you do. You know, at the beginning of the COVID and people were complaining about
Yep.
lockdown, having to wear masks, I said, look, you haven't got any bombs coming over at you. You haven't got Nazis at the door trying to break in. Aren't starving.
Right.
You have the internet and the phone and every other way to contact each other. Please stop moaning and start
Hmm.
looking at the gifts that you have. And if you feel lack in one way, find another way to do it.
Yep. Yep. I learned. I mean, I learned that partly doing this, but Sheryl Sandberg, she's a big wig in Facebook. She did a podcast interview with Oprah a few years ago, soon after her husband had,
Hmm.
suddenly passed. And in that podcast interview, she talked about finding the good. They
Yes.
talked about finding the good, and even though she was going through such a horrific time, and from that I started to do that. Like, I started to take up that practice of, I had to write three good things that happened in a day. And when but the point is, when you start looking for it,
Yes. You
that
start
it's like,
seeing it.
when you buy a red car, all of a sudden there's
Yes.
40 million red cars they were
Yes.
probably there before. So yes, it's living in the gratitude. And even if it's as much as, and even all the personal development, every single personal development person out there talks about this, every single one of them. So there's got to be a reason why they talk about the gratitude of writing things down. And it could be simple as, I'm grateful for the socks that I have on my feet. But
Mm.
it emotes this reaction in your brain and all these other scientific things, and that kind
It
of a
does.
thing.
It changes the chemistry in everything. You know, the youngest person I've interviewed was a 10-year-old, and she wrote a book, 365 Days of Attitude, of Gratitude with a Positive Attitude. And it was just a book that she'd written since she was 6, and every day what she was grateful for. And she said, I don't understand. If you're unhappy, stop doing what makes you unhappy and go do something that makes you happier. And it's like, why have we complicated everything,
Right,
highfalutin everything? Sometimes simplicity is best.
right. Yep, exactly. She's very wise for a 10-year-old.
It is up to
She
us,
was like,
isn't
word
it?
that. It's so true. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
But
we're
I don't think people realize that. I think that's where the value comes in.
don't wait for someone to tell you what you should be. Don't wait. Even a lot
Right.
of these self-help things are still in a restriction, right? It's, you know, it might be good to get you out of a box, but make sure you're not getting back into another one, even if it
Right.
looks bigger. The whole thing about life is the freedom of thought, the freedom of speech, the freedom of being who you are, embracing the beautiful gift that you are to this planet, to the universe, and sharing that gift
Hmm.
out of the goodness of your heart and soul in service to others.
Right.
And with that, you can have no boundaries, you can have no limits. It is about just being present. So, whatever you're doing to help you look at your beliefs and look at this and look at that, remember it's about the flow of energy in life. And the flow must always be in rhythm and in continuum.
I, yep. Yes to all of that.
So, Isogenics, you know, is your platform, it's your village. It's
Yep.
your commitment and it's your conviction. It's done a
Hmm.
lot for you physically, mentally, emotionally, and as you said, as a community.
Hmm.
So, how do people get hold of you if they want to inquire about that?
Um, Connect with me on social media. Honestly is the best way to get a hold of me. So friend me or message me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, any one of those two platforms I'm on often. My emails, if you email me, I may not know because I get a lot of emails, to be
Mhm.
honest. So yeah, those three platforms are the best to get in touch with me.
So, I'm going to give people on LinkedIn, it's Caren Cooper, and that's
Yep.
Caren Cooper, Cooper.
Hmm.
So, Karen with a C. Facebook, it's Karen S. Cooper.
Yeah, it's my I think LinkedIn is the same thing. So I have my maiden name. So it's
Mm,
Caren, Caren, and Shagren, Schagren Cooper, Cooper.
right. And Instagram is Caren, and then it's C1123, and then you've got the international isogenics here where people can order for you
Mm-hmm.
if they're interested in it.
Right.
But reach out to you and have the conversation
Right.
because you know, you may be inspired by what Caren has shared here today about what isogenics has done for her. Maybe you're just looking for a community to belong to. Maybe you're
Right.
looking to make some more money because you've had to pivot your career.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're feeling, I do need something in my body. You know, whatever it is, start the conversation.
Right.
All right. So you're open to have that conversation to find out what it is they do need. And then it's up to us to say, okay, dip a toe, dip a foot, or jump right in. That's up
Right.
to us. Right.
And you may not know, it may not be right for you, but you may know someone
Right.
that was, who's feeling a little lethargic, who needs more energy, who gets a bill and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
who's on unemployment,
Yeah.
and that kind of a thing. So it may be like, no, it may not be for me, but hey, you may know somebody who it may be for.
Right. You know, I know that I've done shows with people who have a different kind of health MLM, and they went and took it out to third world countries. You know, certain parts of India and the Arab countries, and dedicated it towards the women, so that the women didn't have to stay married to abusive men because they could afford to sustain
Hmm.
themselves, or they didn't have to get married to a man because
Hmm.
they could sustain themselves, and it what the liberation that it gave their lives.
Yeah.
So, you know, isogenics is a different program, but it could be the liberation that you're looking to have in your
Yep.
life.
Yep. And we are in 26 countries.
Right.
So, it can, to your point, that's a great point, but it can be liberation of your life and, and people in different countries as well. Absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
great point.
And you can go at it whatever level you want. There's
Right.
no hype. You know, whether you just want to use the product, whether you want to just sell the product a little bit, or whether you want to immerse yourself into it. You know, it's your choice.
That's why I love it. That's exactly right. And that's the point I like to talk to people about too. It's a great point, Sarah. It is literally, it could be anything you want it to be. As
Right.
ridiculous as that sounds, it's whatever you put the work in is what you're going to get out.
Exactly. I mean, that goes for everything in life, but you know,
Right.
there is no, you know, as we talked about earlier, the black and the white, the do's and the don'ts. You don't forget there's some wonderful shades of gray. I believe
Right.
there's 50. So,
Yes.
and, you know, who says it has to be gray? Tint it with blue, tint it with green,
Right.
tint it with something
Exactly.
else, you know?
Exactly.
There are no absolutes in this. It's
Oh,
about the exploration and see
oh,
what
a
does it
hundred
mean to you?
percent. Oh, totally. Totally. It's, you don't know, the old adage, you don't know until you try.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you know, somebody said you're going to leave, you know, your job's going to come to an end. You're going to be in COVID. You know, your life and your marriage and everything is going to be up in arms, and you're going to feel lethargic and this and that. And isogenics is going to be your answer. And you probably would have said,
Oh, I did for 4 years. Four.
yeah,
4 years. I was like, no, I literally worked out with the people who were doing it, who were making, with my own eyes,
yes,
saw the transformations of,
mm,
of body and money, saw it all. And I was still like, this isn't for me. So I
mhm,
totally get when people are like, no, I get it. Cause I was that person. I
yeah,
didn't know what I didn't know. And I
yeah,
didn't understand how it fit. But most importantly, I wasn't ready to make
right,
that change. The same thing when I quit smoking. People never thought I would quit smoking because I smoked from the time I was 16 till I was 42. Like I smoked that long. But I was
mm,
ready to make the change, and I did. I haven't looked back. I've never even picked up a cigarette. It's almost 9 years. But when you make that, it's not just about making that decision,
yes,
it's then taking the action along with that decision. So one must decide first. The same thing with like people who are alcohol. They decide they need to make the change, and they go make that change.
right.
They make the action to go make the change.
I
That's
have
what
a word every year that is kind of my word, you know, for the year, and
I have one too.
my word is actionism this year. No more
Ah,
activism, no more talk about it. It's actionism. Do it. I
I
don't
like that.
care if it's one toe at a time, Bigfoot, big leap, whatever it is. Do something. Do something out of your comfort zone. Do something you've never done before. Do that dream. You know, follow
Hmm.
that dream that you want to do. But whatever you do, Don't butt it. The butt is for sitting on. Get up and go and do something. At least if that something is just exploring what to do.
Right. Right. Because that's still an action.
Yes, it is.
That's still an action.
Exactly. Yeah. What's
That's
your
good. I
word?
like abundance.
Abundant?
Abundance.
Abundant. I quite agree.
Abundance.
And you know what is abundant? Yes, it's lovely when there's abundance in the bank account, but when
That's
your
right.
heart is abundant, when
Right.
you feel enriched and that abundance of your exuberance of life is oozing out of you, there is no money that can buy that.
Right. So yeah, exactly. That's why it wasn't. It's not just about money.
Right.
That's why I chose. That's why I chose the word because last year my word was growth. So it's kind of still the word this year too, in a
Yes.
way, because I'm doing a lot more stuff growing this year. But I was like abundance because it could be about the money because I have a goal of
Yeah.
making a certain amount with isogenics, but it's also about in my life and who I want to with me and how I want to feel. So it's also like a feeling and all of that. So it's
Yeah.
all encompassing.
Yeah. I actually, this year, the energy, and I've talked about it a lot with my energy healers and energy promoters, there is an exuberance of energy right now, and it's going to grow. There's going to be an absolute foot to the pedal in May, which might be overwhelming for some people. But all it is kind of a shaking up before the balance is found. But like I'm finding in March, I don't know what it is about it, that it just is like, I'm loving the energy out there. So, you don't have to know what you're going to do or where you're going to go. You've
Right.
just got to get excited about going
Mhm.
somewhere.
Right. Right. Visualize it.
Yes.
Visualization is really, I think Ed Milet talked about this on Instagram yesterday. Believe it or not, he was talking about he was sitting. I think it was in a car, and he was in a car, and he was like, it's a really expensive car. He's like, but I knew I was sitting in it. Like he literally visualized himself in the car.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, visualize yourself wherever, like even on the a beach, whatever it may be. And then I love to the point of what we're talking about, vision boards are
Yes.
amazing things where you can put your goals and your visions and what you are looking to do on oak tag. I call it oak tag because I'm old. I call it oak tag. And whatever you want to put it on, but you look at it every day. So
Yeah.
now you have that vision of what you're wanting to do. Even if you want to, oh, I want to run today, well, put a pair of sneakers and then put a
Yes.
running person on,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing.
And then it's not about a vision of all the dollar signs.
Right,
The thing is, the vision is reminding you how you want to feel. The
right,
universe is going to actually not go, oh, you want that car red and this and that. No, it's not going to deliver that. This is not
right,
a universal Amazon delivery. It's about how do I want to feel?
right,
I want to feel abundant. I want to feel enriched. I want to feel healthy. I want to feel counted. I want to feel that I love doing this. I like to do more with it. I love the way this makes me feel. I want to do more of it. Those are the visions that you want to keep
right,
nurturing. Do not add any dictation to it.
right,
Allow.
right. Yep, 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's about
Mm-hmm.
a serving. It's about serving. It's not about, and it's not about you.
Right.
As
Right. It's
crazy as that sounds, even though it's what you want, it's not necessarily about you, if that makes any kind of sense.
yeah,
Because if
because
you make it, it's then it's you know what I mean. It's like
yeah,
self-serving. You want
yes,
it because it'll
it
help you help others.
yes, it empowers your instrument to be for others.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
It does.
It's no point in shining bright if you're not serving anyone. The real abundance lies in making a difference in the lives of others.
Yep. a thousand
That's
percent.
where the real enrichment is and the abundantness. I mean, yes, money is something we need as human beings. That's all very nice. But if you really do feed the heart, soul, and spirit's abundance and that gratification of somebody's life being changed
Mm-hmm.
by, or even pivoted in the right direction, it is exuberant.
It's the best feeling ever. It is
Yes.
literally the best. You helped me X. Fill in the blank. Doesn't matter. Like when
Yeah.
people say, "Oh my God, you helped me get on a healthy path." I feel so great. It's like I literally is like this amazing high that I can't come down from. But like whenever it is, if you help someone cross the street, you help me cross the street. Thank you so much. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like because
Yes.
literally you help me X, and how do you feel when somebody says it to you, and then you give it to someone else? How
Yeah.
awesome!
Yeah. I get to, or how many thousands of people listen to your podcast? And I said, all those that are ready to listen. And it may only be one, but if it's shifted one person's perspective into the right direction, gold. right?
Yep.
Occasionally I get people coming back saying this show saved my life, or this and did that. And that's wonderful to know. But I put it out
Right.
and nurture it, but it's up to the universe where it takes it. And I have Altered Wisdom library here with 2,700 shows. And there is a show here that is going to speak to where you're at
Right.
and to what you need to know, but you've got to be the investigator.
Right.
So don't be afraid to investigate your options in your own life and where you can go. Right?
Exactly. Uh-huh. 100%. And you you don't know who needs to hear what you have to say.
No, no. Life is exciting when you allow it to be.
Yes, it is.
And that excitement of that fulfillment, that knowing you're on the right path, knowing you're doing the right thing, knowing that you're helping people. And it's not about, oh, I help people more than you. No, it's got nothing to do with that. One person who had a smile, the barista serving a coffee and everybody's been complaining. Hi, love, how are you doing? Having a bad day? I hope it gets better. You've seen them, you've recognized them, you've shifted that whole perspective.
Right.
Small things can grow big.
Right. Compliment someone on their shoes. Compliment.
Yes,
Oh my God! Even I did that the other day. I got somebody was wearing some. I was like, oh my God, those pants. I was like, oh my God, those pants are amazing.
yes,
And you can see even behind the mask, you can see the brightness and everything.
yes.
You never know what's going on inside other people.
No.
You never know. So those smiles and those this and even to back to your point about Megan and
Yeah.
Harry, everybody was like, but she was smiling, but she was this. You know what? Yeah, because you don't. You have to. Sometimes you just have to, because
You
that's what
know,
you have.
one moment she's saying, I can't take this anymore. She's very pregnant. I feel suicidal. And the next moment she's got a dress on going off to
Right.
a concert and having to put the smile on,
Right.
And it's like, who are we to demand that of her?
Right.
What does that say about us? That's not duty. That is slavery,
Right.
right? So no, no, we are all beautiful, free creatures,
Right.
leaves on the trees that are ready to flow. And it's let yourself go, allow,
Right.
explore, become. And you're there to help people, whether it's with isogenics or, if they just want a
Mm-hmm.
conversation with you, right?
Yeah, I've always been my whole life. I've always been everybody's therapist anyway. So isogenics was who knew that, but it lends to being being
Yeah.
that person anyway. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm always. It's funny, I joke, but somebody actually pointed this out to me, but it's true. I mean, my name is Caren,
Mhm.
Caren, and as care.
Yeah. 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 Wellness isn't just in what you put into your body. It is your thoughts and it's the restrictions that we've given ourselves. And it's like, but why? We
Right,
are all here to be of service. We're all here for a reason. We've all been given a gift. And unless we're willing to explore that and allow ourselves to take that journey of that exploration and become, we're not going to know what that gift is. And we're not going to know how beautiful it is to us.
right. Yep. And you have to be open because you
Yes.
really just don't. That's why I tell people all the time, like, just be open. And I tell my kids this too all the time too. You have to just be open, because that's what I was. That's when I said yes, it was like, what, I was just open to whatever was going to happen, and
Yes.
not try to control. That's the other thing. Be open and don't try to control what's going to happen. Just kind of just let it be. And if you
Hmm.
don't like it, okay, then you
Yeah.
don't have. You know what I mean? Then you can always change it. But if you're open to it, you never know what you're going to find when you're open
Right.
to the new and different possibilities.
The only control we have is knowing we have no control.
True story. It's the truth.
Is we can have intent, right? We can have a direction we're going in, but we have to allow, because we have to
Right.
respond positively to the situations and
Right.
learn to pivot, learn to dance, learn to flow. The moment you start trying to control something, dictate how it should go, it will snap.
Right.
It will break on you, because we are meant to be flexible and we're
Right.
meant to be able to bend this way and that way without breaking,
Right.
right?
And how many times in your life that things go not exactly the way you planned, but they worked out anyway?
They worked out best because you didn't interfere. You went with the flow, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
So there's
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. And you're a prime example of that,
I
right?
am.
You
I
are,
am.
absolutely. So you're happy, you're abundant, you love your life, you love what you're doing,
Yeah.
where you are now, even with whatever's happening in your marital life right now,
Hmm.
you're in a good position to be able to face whatever's needed to come. without feeling the victim or feeling the heart and pain, you can be honest and open with it. And, you know, life is going to happen. Shoot's going to happen, folks.
Yep.
And it's how we deal with it. And the more that we immerse in ourselves and become who we are and the strength and the abilities we have, the more we have the ability to deal with whatever's given to us.
Right. It's 1,000%. The word is resilience for a reason. Like
Yes.
a
Yes.
1,000%. That's the
Yeah.
whole point of building that muscle.
Yeah. And we're incredibly resilient when we allow ourselves to be.
We really are. We
Mm-hmm.
have to allow ourselves to be, and we can't crawl into a ball and be like, listen, crawl into a ball, just don't live there.
Yeah, and people talk about failure, and I say, I don't use the way failure. I call it redirect.
Yeah.
It's you fell down. That doesn't mean you failed. It just means, okay, that didn't work. I'm going to redirect somewhere else, or I'm going to try something different. Failure to me is when you give up and say, I'm never going to try again.
That's true.
Maybe you went, when that electric motor bankrupted me, I ended up living out of my car. The technology was absolutely brilliant. The people we were dealing with wasn't. That was a life lesson, right? And I
Right.
learned a lot of lessons from that. And, at the darkest moment, where I just didn't know where to go or what to do, and really, did I even want to still be here? This opportunity came that I had no knowledge of what it was about. But okay, I'll give it a try. And my
Right.
first show was a Monty Python skit. I pressed all the wrong buttons, you know? And does it, oh, I failed, I can't do this. It was like, oh, I shouldn't do that again.
Right.
I better press the better buttons next time. And you learn something about yourself. So be willing to be kind to yourself. The
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing about you is you are divinely flawless. You are
Yeah.
beautifully imperfect. And that's what makes you unique. Forget about perfection. You will always let yourself and everyone else down.
Love that. I love that. 100%. And think about a kid. People say this all the time, and I think about this a lot. When a child learns to walk,
Yeah.
do they stop walking? Do you say, don't try? They keep going. So I think about that because I think it's such a
Try
great
again.
visual in terms of
Yeah.
failure. It's like they popped out. Nope, I'm going to keep going, and eventually they learn.
Yes. That's the whole point. And our generation, we have a lot of old patterning there to get erased of. The more you inject the positive pattern and your whole body
Right.
and psyche resonates with that, the more it will delete the old pattern.
Right.
Persistence,
That's another good one.
perseverance, patience, all of those P's.
All of those.
Well, this has been a delight, Caren. I really have enjoyed our conversation here today. So, remember, folks, you can get hold of it. Which is the main one of your social medias that you're most active on?
Facebook. To be
Okay.
honest with you, Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. So reach out to her on the Facebook, start the conversation, ask the question. She's not going to bite your head off. She's
Nope.
very open. And it doesn't matter whether you're just inquiring or maybe you just want a conversation with her and see where it goes. Just be willing to open up and
Yep.
explore and just see. You don't know until you do. So
Exactly.
thank you so much. And thank you for honoring yourself and redirecting and finding your beautiful abundance. You're on the right track and you're just going to bloom even more.
Thank you so much for those words. Those are really, really nice. And thank you for having me today. I have enjoyed this immensely. This has been amazing. Amazing. Thank you.
Me too, me too, me too. We learn from the people that have gone before. It's not about your mistakes. Your mistakes make you better. Your
Hmm.
mistakes are the lessons in life. It's who you become because of them. That's
Yes.
what counts, right? So
Yes.
please do not carry your mistake with you. You now know what not to do. Now
Right.
explore what is better to do. All
Right.
right.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Caren.
Thank you, Sarah.
Until next time, folks. Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. You will hear many shows here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. We have new shows for you out every week. Just find them on our podcast or What's New. If you feel that you have something to share that makes a difference in the lives of others, or you too feel that you could be a host, please contact me at info@selfdiscoverymedia.com and we will be glad to speak with you. Have a wonderful day.